The National Human Rights Commission, together with Policy Legal Advocacy Center and support from Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, don organize one interagency consultative workshop wey go focus on how to carry out the National Action Plan for promoting and protecting human rights. The Vienna Declaration and Programme of Action 1993 tok say every country suppose develop national action plan to make sure say dem go advance human rights well. As part of this, Federal Executive Council for April 2023 approved the Nigerian National Action Plan for the Promotion and Protection of Human Rights wey join two documents, one for business and human rights. The NAP na strategy plan wey go help make sure say human rights dey part of governance, policy making and institutional work.
Let me begin by reiterating the point that the obligation to promote, protect and fulfill human rights is a fundamental imperative for the state, which has been reinforced by regional and international human rights instruments to which Nigeria is a party. The Vienna Declaration and Programme of Action 1993 recommends that each state develops a national action plan to systematically advance human rights. And in line with this, the Federal Executive Council, first in 2009 and now in 2023, approved the Nigerian National Action Plan for the Promotion and Protection of Human Rights, which is a twin document that incorporates the National Action Plan for Business and Human Rights, marking significant milestone in Nigeria's commitment to human rights protection. The National Action Plan is not just a document, it is a strategic roadmap for integrating human rights into governance, policy making, and institutional frameworks. The National Action Plan serves as a strategic framework to audit, improve, and monitor human rights through collaboration among government, civil society, and other national and international stakeholders. The development of the National Action Plan involves extensive consultations with MDAs and civil society, and this was led by the National Human Rights Commission and the Federal Ministry of Justice. This focus was to address the gaps, promote and protect and enforce human rights in compliance with national and global human rights standards. The NAP stands out as a comprehensive policy document with transformative goals for advancing human rights in Nigeria, balancing past challenges and future aspirations. The essence of today's workshop is to activate the implementation framework for the National Action Plan to bring together key stakeholders across government agencies, civil society, and development partners. We recognize that effective implementation requires a coordinated, multi-sectoral, and interagency approach to ensure that the principles enshrined in NAP translate into concrete actions that impact the lives of all Nigerians. Specifically, this workshop seeks to do the following. It will introduce the NAP to the broad spectrum of implementing partners and agencies in this room. It will clarify the roles and responsibilities of key actors in the implementation process. It will create interagency collaboration in ensuring the effective implementation. It will identify challenges and opportunities for advancing human rights through NAP framework and to strengthen partnerships with crucial stakeholders, including development partners. A major unique point for the National Action Plan is the multi-level governance and implementation structures. From the coordinating committee to the steering committee, the implementation task team, and thematic working groups, the NAP has indeed been designed for collective ownership while acknowledging individual mandates of agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot afford to fail. All the tools we need are available to us, and we owe Nigerians the solemn obligation to deliver on the promises of human rights evidenced by the Universal Declaration, Chapters 2 and 4 of the Constitution, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and other legislations enacted by our national and state assemblies and global and regional instruments. As we deliberate today, I urge all participants to approach this workshop with a deep sense of commitment and responsibility. The success of the National Action Plan depends significantly on our active participation in this workshop, ensuring that the outcome will lead to its full and effective implementation. I encourage all of us to use this engagement to forge meaningful partnerships, generate great initiatives, and reinforce our commitment to protecting and promoting human rights in Nigeria.
To meet and interact with the various distinguished participants from different agencies, civil society, and joint discuss the implementation of the National Action Plan for promotion and protection of human rights in Nigeria. I want to appreciate the National Human Rights Commission and other human rights agencies present here today for their continuous effort in the fight for the respect, promotion, and protection of fundamental human rights in Nigeria. I would like to appreciate the cooperation and support of our foreign partners for their never-ending support for human rights in Nigeria. I also want to specifically thank the National Human Rights Commission for putting together this workshop among federal agencies, institutions, NGO, civil society, organizations, other establishments in order to dialogue on the effective way to implement both the short-time and long-time national action plan for the improvement, monitoring, promotion, protection of human rights in Nigeria. The importance of the protection of fundamental human rights of every Nigerian cannot be overemphasized. The role of human rights involves empowering individual and community to shape a better future. Basic fundamental human rights like freedom of association, equality, education, and right to life with dignity is vital. Also, every human being deserves the right to live in a safety environment and in a decent living. There has been a constant struggle for the protection of human rights of individual, group, and community in Nigeria. There are several Nigeria that still face discrimination, inequality, and injustice. There is need for us all to continue to speak up and support those who are denied their fundamental human rights. It is important to note that every little action, like treating others with kindness and standing against unfairness and injustice, can make a difference. It is also crucial for us, both as individuals and collectively to respect, promote, and protect human rights, not just for ourselves, but for every citizen. I believe that with the cooperation among government agencies, institutions, NGO, civil society, organizations that are represented here today will help improving, strengthen, protect, and promote human rights in Nigeria. In conclusion, all hands must be on desk to achieve greater results for the respect, protest, and promotion of human rights of every citizen in order to have a more respectable, just, and peaceful nation.
Human right is a natural right. It started from the Almighty God who created us. When he put Adam and Eve in other world, he advised them, don't do this, don't do that. When they violated, he didn't punish them because he created them, but he gave them fair hearing. Why do you do this and that? Before he decided to remove them from the other world, physical world. So human right is reality. From some of our philosophers, take J.J. Rousseau, John Dewey, and others, they mention all this issue of human rights. And coming to UK, I always remember Robert Field, where we have Pillian philosophy, principles in politics. What he said, any country you go, where do you detect and find out the security agencies are doing their job? He said, the absence of crime in any society, that what prove security agencies are doing their job. Not mere, what I have been always saying, contrary to international humanitarian law, Section 34 of our Constitution, Section 8 of ACJA, equally with our current Anti-Torture Act of 2017, where they prohibited displaying suspects on media, on TV, which means it's what we call psychological projections, covering your own weaknesses. You are not bringing someone which against all the laws I mentioned. I'm always with you, my respected Secretary of Human Rights Commission. I'm always to campaign this. When we go to judiciary, in any fora I find myself, I stand to be challenged by anybody. I don't know where they drive. Either the security agencies or the judiciary. Before they grant someone on bail, they give some conditions. Bring the director from the federal service to stand for you. Or bring somebody with land in choice area, Metama, Buzape, I don't know. To me, it's a mere contradiction and contradistinction. Nobody, as a civil servant, can rise from the beginning, permanent secretary, to keep a money where he can buy land in this society. It's contradiction and contradictions. I want this gathering to campaign against this. Because everyone TB, we have to fight this. Nigeria belongs to all of us. Human rights is a natural right. Then the same Robert Field, what he said in his principles is a British parliamentarian in the 19th century. The public are the police. The police are the public. Police job cannot be done properly without the cooperation of the public. So, what I'm even appealing to this gathering, create another time to bring all agencies, especially those components of judicial system, to come and account how they are related with the improvement and promotion of human rights. In policy is what we are trying to do now. It's a common thing. In this Abuja, the federal capital, some judicial officers, police, they go and destroy with the land grabbers. Do this. It's something we have to fight for it. Right, take it to the last court. Not only that, even now in this right, the issue of even lawful interception of communication. The act is there. You want to investigate me, you have to go to court with an affidavit.
The reason why they hold this workshop na to make sure say them start the implementation of the NAP by bringing together ogbonge people from government agencies, civil society and their development partners.
I'm delighted to be here. The British High Commission works closely with the Human Rights Committee in the House of Reps and with CLAC through our governance programme, and we work closely with the NHRC and civil society organisations and human rights defenders, and you will hear us as a strong and supportive voice on human rights. The breadth and depth of stakeholders attending the programme today is encouraging, and we need diversity and we need to work in partnership and together. And it also underscores the dedication of various sectors of Nigeria's society to advancing human rights in accordance with global commitments to the principles of dignity, equality and justice. As Africa's largest democracy, Nigeria's journey towards the consolidation of human rights is instructive. Human rights are the cornerstone of any just and fair society. They empower individuals, protect the vulnerable, and foster inclusive development. And collective experience across the world demonstrates that the realisation of human rights fosters peace, security, prosperity, and sustainable development. So Nigeria's commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights is pivotal to its development of its democracy. How we protect human rights is important. How we promote human rights and defend them is important. The effective implementation of this National Action Plan could be a great leap forward for Nigeria's democracy, therefore. And I wish to congratulate Dr. Tony Ojukwu and the whole team at the National Human Rights Commission for your efforts in putting together a plan and seeking its full implementation. The range of rights captured in the plan, from civil and political rights to economic, social and cultural rights and other third-generation thematic rights, reflects a commendable, holistic approach to upholding human rights standards in Nigeria. And we stand ready as the UK to work with stakeholders towards implementing the plan, protecting a stable and open international order that safeguards human rights and open societies is a cornerstone of UK foreign policy, and is a key issue in the UK-Nigeria strategic partnership, which includes our mutual commitment to protect human rights, which was signed between our foreign ministers only in last November. And we recognise that while challenges persist, that we value dialogue and partnership across all areas of social protection and human rights. And the National Action Plan sets out clear strategies to respond to these issues, strengthen institutions and promote accountability at all levels. Now, it's true that our friends and partners in Africa never like a foreign country or a Western country to lecture on human rights. It sets people's teeth on edge. So I will not endeavour to lecture. But I do think that when we talk about human rights, we can assert our rights, but sometimes the people in positions of power and influence, they stop listening to us. So we can't just assert our rights, we have to think about new lines of advocacy and new lines of promoting human rights that get people's attention. And there's one line of advocacy which I particularly like, because it speaks to both the UK and the Nigeria agenda around economic growth, and those are the economic arguments. So hear me out on this. So as you know, there's often an assumption there must be a trade-off between human rights and economic growth. We can't have human rights because it will damage the economy. We can't have human rights because it will have less stability. That's not true. There are economists who argue that freedom and participation rights directly affect economic growth positively in the long term, and the rights to freedom of assembly and association and electoral self-determination show a significant positive effect on economic growth. So open societies that are more inclusive and ones that promote development, on average, have higher growth, higher levels of justice and accountability, lower levels of corruption, and they're less prone to conflict, instability and atrocities. And across the full range of human rights, where discrimination is not identified and addressed, where we often witness marginalisation, persecution, worse still, violence and attacks on individuals, that we regress that economic development. So it's important for us to keep advocating a range of arguments, listening and protecting the rights of all Nigerians.
Commend the Committee on Human Rights of the National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, for the work that it is doing respecting human rights. The House of Representatives Committee has in recent days pushed forward for the passage through second reading of a very critical bill, which is the Human Rights Defenders Bill in the National Assembly. We must commend the committee. The applause is well deserved. When I started the first human rights group in this country in 1987, we had no defense against the terrible authoritarianism of the state. So the House, considering this bill important to pass for second reading, I think it's something that we must commend the committee for doing. We also know that the committee has also pushed through second reading the bill to amend the National Human Rights Commission to improve its stand and expand its work in terms of defending human rights.
We also know that the committee is pushing through two bills regarding the application of death penalty in Nigeria. And in the Constitutional Review Committee, the bill to also address the issue of the death penalty is also under consideration. So we'd like to commend the committee for all the work that it is doing. The National Human Rights Commission has outlined its action plan for human rights in the country, and I think this will be the first time this is happening. We do have a lot of respect for the National Human Rights Commission headed by Tony Ojukwu. You were called Chief, I'm not quite sure whether that's the case, but certainly it is a lot of accolades for the work that the National Human Rights Commission is doing, and we commend all of your efforts, and that's why PLAC is very delighted to be working with the National Human Rights Commission, and we do thank the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office for all of that support to the work that we're doing respecting human rights. You talked about the work that the Police Service Commission is doing, and the chairman, Hashim Argungu, DIG, has done on the question of parade of suspects. In the Committee on Constitutional Review, the provisions regarding Section 32 of the Constitution is being proposed to be amended to make the parading of suspects publicly a human rights violation. That's an amendment that is being proposed at this time. And it's very important because when you look at how suspects are paraded, anybody who has watched very closely those parades, you would see that a lot of times when people are arrested, you are told of the heinous crimes that they have committed. But watch the weapons with which they committed the crime that is displayed. It's the same weapons that are used for every suspect all the time. So the police keep a cache of arms and ammunitions and amulets and what is the next one? Charms that it puts and displays all the time. Watch it, it's exactly the same tools that are used. Each of those suspects, whether they're in Sokoto or in Lagos or Enugu, it's the same arms, the same amulets that they use. So it tells you that the police, which has really improved in its operations, may also be trying to solve crimes by using a common method that has really quite outdated. We know that when we go to court as lawyers, we would see that all the suspects confess to the crimes. Then you watch the suspects and you look around their body and you see, huge bruises, wounds, and beatings that they have received. A lot of that really to extract confessions from them. So there's a lot to do, even with the National Action Plan, but I think that's a very good basis for us to do what we are doing in this country. And I think that with the support of the Committee on Human Rights in the House of Representatives and in the Senate as well, the scope for protecting human rights in the country would be expanded. So we really are delighted at the opportunity of engagement with National Human Rights Commission.
Make una no forget say, as we see am, na so we dey talk am. We no dey take blame. A Kata Odisele reporting for TMC TV.